Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda.
Well, hump day, guys. Good evening. Welcome to Hump Day. We've nearly cracked off another week, and this is, it's like the never-ending story, isn't it? It's just like every day another piece of madness seems to come our way, and that's what we try to do here. For any of you new viewers, we're a news show. We like to try and let people know what's going on out there in the real world versus what you may be seeing on the mainstream media. So this is what we do. This is what we do each evening, and we've got a great tribe of people in here with us, and we thank you all for being here. So thank you to the boys at Monday at Maggie's podcast, Franco and Charles. I went over and done my first podcast, actually, guys. Never done an actual podcast before, so yeah, that was good. So that's over there. If you can get over, we'll get the links out when they get to us. Frank and that'll get them over. And have a listen. It was good. It was actually all right. I enjoyed it. Them guys are doing amazing work. They're really pushing hard. It's great. We got a lot of things happening. So big storms in the Gong at the moment. So I'll just whack that in while we're
Oh no,
I did. Look at that. I played with the button. This is what we've endured the last couple of days, guys, down here. Well, this was today, which was calm, actually. Yeah, this has got it backed off a fair bit. Melted this morning. But, there's our that's the inner harbour there. But, we're right over the back over there. But the swell comes in and then comes up the harbour. But, it was pretty angry for a few days, guys. It was certainly, not too much sleep last night, that's for sure. But anyway, that's the beautiful harbour. Like, they're pretty big breakwalls, in the background there. That's what the fishermen go missing, that one at the back. But anyway, there's the view of our place over the bit of crazy weather that we've had, guys.
he's touching buttons again.
Yep, I got it. Look at that. Too easy, camp easy. All right, so what's happening around here, folks, is Queensland Council is to pause planned demolition of homeless camps. So the Guardian's put this out, guys. So It's only out an hour ago. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. That's good. It looks like we're making ground there somewhere. But yeah, certainly Moreton Bay City Council has been ordered not to clear, all right, a homeless encampment after hearing the Queensland Supreme Court on Wednesday. So there you go, guys. Keep it up. Well done. There's a win to start the show. Isn't that brilliant? Hey? All right, the protesters' rights, right? Now we're getting this out there too, guys. They're now looking into this in the mainstream, all right? This is the Guardian again, but and they're looking into this Hannah Thomas, who was injured by the police, who's got the black eye. And so now they're looking into what, the law says about our rights to protest. So interesting that the information's going out, They haven't got a great scenario on the other end of that information, but, we got a different thing. And those are showing it. We're winning, okay? Now, big fines for Western Australian fines, people driving and doing the wrong thing, all right? Well, that's all around the country, guys. They're bringing it in. They've lit up these cameras that are checking you out for so long, and they're just going to be sending out fines. It's just going to get crazy. Anyway, Coles recalls peanut butter products now nationwide. Toxic substance found. Well, more fear. Just more fear. That's what they do, and they're good at it. Okay, I'm saying it's not toxic, but yeah. New warnings after record-breaking rain. Well, new warnings what? That, you guys are, Well, the new warnings are that we were drenched by record-breaking rain for 40,000 homes and businesses across the state that were left without power. This is all, they'd be loving this. The elites would be rubbing their hands together, guys. That's how it works. But anyway, the union's standing up against Albo as well with his tax. So we've got a lot of what we're seeing is a lot of mainstream media talk about the things that we're talking about. Now, are they really talking about it the right way? Come on in whenever you're ready, Caz. No, they're not. Okay, she's still going. But, but here they are, Kanye West, got no visa, guys. 6 million people, Qantas customers, all being cyber attacked. Well, we've already had Optus, Medibank as well, probably a few more, but another 6 million Qantas. Penny Wong can't get a meeting over in America. You know what I mean? She gets a bit of a talk in, but, we're just getting... It's good. You know why? Because it's out there and it's in the mainstream. And now it's for us to get the actual real story, which is what we try to do here, out now with the show about what's really going on. Because they can't, they can't even get a meeting case. This is absolutely beautiful. Like Penny Wong is just so, CCP'd.
Well, it's interesting. I'll be interested to see what the White House does with Australia and Australia's involvement in the Five Eyes. So that will be very interesting to see what happens with regards to that. Look, we got a lot of news.
I had sent you something over actually that we've got there for about what is it out there? Our Area 51. What's out there? Oh man, I got a mental block. Out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Somebody put it in the chat. I'm having a mental block too.
I've just lost all the comments.
You're playing with
There you go. We're back again. Right, there you go. Anyway, Pine Gap. Yeah, we have got a clip there that we'll have a look at that, because, we're a big part, guys, of that actual Five Eye thing. Like it is run and owned by the Yanks, mate. It's more secure than Area 51. Yeah, Pine Gap, here it is.
That's it.
Anyway,
look, we got a heap of stuff going on. Look, let's cover this child predator stuff. This is it's bad. So there's actually been a second one now. Okay, so there's a second one. However, what's also happened is now there is, and I remember this. So kids were getting sexually abused in a childcare in the early 2000s, and they were being located. Now, these kids testified that they went to a house on the Mornington Peninsula, and it had pink walls. Okay. Now, it led back to the police. because the children were saying that there was a man in a police uniform that was doing it as well. But it went further. It was actually satanic ritual abuse as well. Now, fresh probe into sex abuse claims. It looks like that's actually going to be. It looks like that's going to be reopened again or something. I'm not really quite sure about that because the print's a bit fine. However, we actually have this story as well. So, what now? This is from 2018. 2018. Okay. Now, what it's actually happened is working with children checks granted to sex offenders and criminals through VCAT challenges. And they went on here to actually warn that something like this would happen. It's like putting the kid in the candy store and walking out and all the jars are open. So that was a warning from years ago, and kudos to them because that was actually ABC News that actually put that out. So they were warning about it. Two Worlds Collided has weighed in quite controversially.
In this dude, Josh Dale Brown, age 26, a childcare worker, he faces 70 charges for horrific crimes against babies and toddlers. This predator has abused kids as young as 5 months and up to 2 years old from 2022 to 2023. He worked at 20 childcare centres across Melbourne. Now, straight up, this dude needs to be unalive. I don't care how you do it, either give the fathers a baseball bat and a room, or let the army use him for target practice. Just make it happen. Because when he gets convicted, he'll likely sit in protective custody with other pedophiles. And that's not justice. Now, this is the part that fucking really infuriates me. The Victorian government kept this quiet because of the sensitive nature of the case. And it involves kids, so I get that. And it only went public because 1,200 kids needed to be tested for STDs due to this creep. But if those kids didn't need to be tested, then the Victorian public would have never found out about this case. And as a parent, wouldn't you want to know who's working with our kids? And wouldn't you want to know what's being done to prevent this in the future? Like, one of my big questions is, how the hell did this guy get a working with children permit? When I first heard about this yesterday, my initial reaction was, this dude needs to be unalive. My second reaction was, how the hell did a blue and pink haired creep get anywhere near our kids? Like, this guy doesn't even pass the eyeball test. Who the hell hired this guy? And I'm gonna get hated for saying this, but unfortunately our obsession with DEI and being inclusive has probably let the red flag slide with this creep. I mean, and that's got to change. My heart goes out to the victims. We'll never ever know the pain and sorrow you guys have to live with for the rest of your life. And this guy doesn't deserve to draw another breath because of that. But the Australian people have to ask the question here. When, what, how, and why was this predator even allowed near our kids? And how did he obtain a working with children certificate? What's your thoughts?
There's Jenny Dean's thoughts. He's low-hanging fruit. We need to get the top of the trees. Couldn't agree with you more, darling. But we're taking a few branches out. And look, you know, that's just the depravity of our society at this present time, guys. You know, this is where we've been taken spiritually and mentally, and you know, like we've been coerced. We're, you know, manipulated. MK Ultra's alive and well. 5G. You know, that's no excuse for any of this. You know, these people are sick, mate. You know what I mean? And this is just, yeah, I agree with that guy's sentiments. You know, it needs to be dealt with, and people like this should never be in our society. But, mate, this is where we've come to, and we're going to find more and more of it happening. You know, the ones that won't get away with it are the ones that seem to have the connections, Caz. You know what I mean? Yet the connections would be the one buying the film that this guy is making. You know, it's a disgusting, you know, loop with the hierarchy, you know, and we know it. You know what hierarchy are running this. The Freemasons are behind it. You know, it's all satanic ritual. It's all.
Yeah, I think it's going to start. I'm wondering with this, is this the start of a rolling, is this the start of a rolling disclosure? So
I hope so, because Caz Carley is actually perfectly said here. Oh no, sorry, I missed it. It was yeah, there is Satan at work. Exactly. That's it. That's what you're seeing here, guys. This is exactly what we're up against. But if you missed Maggie's podcast today that I done with Frank and that, Oh yeah, we had a bit of a chat about what's going on, you know. So yeah, if you haven't heard that yet, go and listen to it later, guys. Very, very great, good podcast. I reckon guys are unreal. They do a great interview. Pretty easy to be interviewed with guys like that.
Look, we always talk about solutions here. We actually have one solution at the moment that you can do as well, like participate in. Okay, so now this is opinionated black woman. This is Auntie. She's got a handle, and she's one of us guys. She's puts out awesome content. She's up in the floods at the moment. In fact, they've just had their fence that they put up last week from a previous lot of water washed away. Anyway, she's got you can buy from them, and they will ship their meat and also their tallow products to you. She said we've had exactly 0 customers in 2 days because of this weather. Now we're faced with having to feed our livestock, and the feed's been washed away. We could really do with your help. If you're looking for great meat or tallow products, jump on our website and place an order today. Meat orders delivered to Sydney, Wollongong, New South Wales Coast, Melbourne, Brisbane and Gold Coast go out on Friday. Meat orders to Western Australia, South Australia, Tas, Far North Queensland, Northern Territory go out on Monday. So it's Aussie owned. They do their own butchery. I'll pop their stuff in here.
Good. Yep.
And I'll show you. So this is their meat. As you can see, it is beautiful quality. And also their tallow products. And I'll actually have to get some tallow from them because my son's dog was visiting and ate mine. So that I'd actually made on the weekend. So, which I was very upset about, believe me.
Get onto it, guys. All right, because get your money out of the mainstream media, okay? Get it into, you know, if you need supplements, things like I do with the Melaleuca, get to these people who have got good, clean products, all right? And so I'd cut this guy out, cut the cabal out, all right? Start using these people. This is, this is great. That's Australia-wide.
Yeah, but the quality of their meat, guys, once you buy something like that that's actually been grass-fed, hasn't been through the stress of being killed in a butcher or in a meatworks, and has just basically been suddenly killed, and they've done all the butchery at home and then they ship it out, you will never, ever, ever go back to something like that. So that's the meat shop there, and you can actually click through and go and get their tallow products as well. And also second one, this is the Freedom Fighters crew, and they have a sale on it as well for their sunglasses, and they've got 70% off, and like their sunglasses are absolutely amazing, and they're like all of their products are just basically here. This is Freedom Fighters Australia. You can see that their sunglasses, they've got caps and all that sort of stuff, but they've got up to 70% on their sunglasses at the moment. And they have got just brilliant products as well. So I'll pop that one also into the chat so that you guys can get onto it.
Snow and great for harsh conditions, guys. But try to wear them as little as possible. Purchase them by all means, utilize them. Try to get your eyes in the sun. I haven't worn sunnies now for how long, darling? A long time. I just persevered, Caz. Went out there and persevered, and I've been able to just wear my glasses, and that's all. You know what I mean? Now, you know, so you can do it. And I was always in sunnies, always. Yeah.
That's it. Look, we have some facts and figures going on here that's actually really quite outrageous. Let's start off, first of all, with this one here. So this is the premiers around Australia. Now, Jacinta Allen is on $512,000. For what? Like it's just, Chris Minns is on 416, and Chris Minns his staff were hauled before the inquiry, and suddenly they had a lapse of memory. They really couldn't remember anything with regards to the Bowral caravan incident, so which enforced draconian legislation on us. So very interesting. Then when you actually look at this,
and that's their basic wage. That's without all their expenditures and everything else they get, Caz. That's their basic wage in their bank account you're talking about here.
That's it. Now, Oz Integrity, they have done some facts. They have done some figure hunting here, and there's 10.3 million Aussies paid tax out of 27 million. Of the 267 billion income tax collected, top 1% paid 20%, top 10% paid 52%, and the bottom 50% paid 11%. So there's 16.7 million paid no tax at all.
Well, I can't say that's a bad thing. I'd like to see that whole slate just no tax, and we have our country back. That's what I'd like to see, guys. Yeah, another legal enterprise. But it just shows what's going on.
Well, it does indeed. And of course, you've got this situation which is very interesting. Now, Matt Canavan's put this out. Palaszczuk Labor government raided billions from Queensland's rainy day funds to waste on hydrogen. Now they say, oh, sorry, it's too hard. So, basically that project has collapsed. And another thing that is actually very interesting as well is that you've got this situation where this couple, Trattoria Mediterranean in Sydney is closing down. And basically, So, and he says that his restaurant was once full. Now they're lucky to just fill a few tables. He said it's not just us; it's basically everything. Everything's crumbling around them, and it's just
one of the premium restaurants in Sydney, guys. Trattoria's okay. It's a real big name. Always chock-a-block every night of the week, every day of the week, 7 days a week. All right, and now it's just sort of empty. People are just. Well, I've got another clip on that too, but you know who's making money? It's the people doing the fast food, mate. They are cleaning up, you know.
Well, and then you've got this situation. Now, Rob Smith has noticed that Australia is in a recession. Albanese has led Australia into a recession. He says he's got a recruiting friend. He says jobs have dried up, with advertising roles receiving over 200 applications compared to 10 3 years ago. This stems from 1.1 million migrants in under 3 years. Labor has killed the economy. Now, down here, he's actually got a graph. So the monthly seat capacity between India and Australia is at full capacity, with airlines adding flights to meet demand. Like, it is just crazy.
Wow. So, that should, if every Australian looked at, this is just crazy, man. I talk about this on the podcast, actually. Anyway, there you go. You have to go and watch the podcast.
Yeah, no, I know. So, look, let's go out. Let's go to this. This is Challo Chow, Scotty. He's done something on, how important it is to be Australian and our myths.
This country was built on some incredible myths, and we should never, ever forget what we are or where we came from. I'm here to remind you that you are the story that you tell, not the one on your social media and not the filtered highlight on your phone. I'm talking about the real story, the myth you carry inside of you, the scars, the mistakes, the moments you didn't walk away from. And when you lose that story, you lose your courage. You forget who you are. And worse, you forget why you were ever fighting for the things that you're trying to fight for. Every man needs a myth, not some fantasy and not some Instagram or social media warrior routine, but a real myth, something that's forged in the fire, truths that are wrapped in our memory, in loss, in discipline, in the names of the men that you've buried, in what it cost for you to still be standing here today. You don't tell those stories to brag. You tell them to remember who you are, what you stood for, where you came from, and what you bled for. That's your spine. That's your compass. You let that go and the world will swallow you whole. Memento mori. Remember death. It's coming for all of us. You don't get to escape it. But death is what gives your myth its shape. And one day you will be gone. Your bones will be dust and your name will be forgotten. And all that's left is the ripple that you left behind, a subtleness in the fabric of our time. If you play it safe and you stay quiet, you avoid the fire. But there is no ripple. It's just still water with no impact and no echo. Just a life that passed through like a breeze that never bent a blade of grass. Because we live in a throwaway society where loyalty is optional and courage is always mocked. Men are told to shrink, to soften, to sit down. But the man who walks with death behind him, the man who owns his myth, who remembers, who refuses to flinch, that man he acts. He doesn't ask for permission. He doesn't need a round of applause. He doesn't need gratification. He just knows. If we decide that we're going to let the revisionists rewrite our history and tell us how bad and truly awful we are, then we choose to give up our own myths. And the truth is that we were built from courage and strength and forged in the fire. And I'll never forget that.
Wow, that should have been an outro.
I know,
Amen to
but
that,
I've got.
yeah.
I know, but Melissa Redpill's done a great outro as well with regards to what Trump really did and how he averted war and the sidestepping that he did. So it's just,
Yeah,
I
that's
had
very,
choice.
very well said. Yeah, that could be used as it's a motivational speech. Well done, Scotty.
It is.
Very well
It
said.
is. It is awesome. All right, look, we've got a lot on, and of course we've got the convoy on. So let's go to the convoy first, and then we'll do another clip, and then we'll do the flyers.
And the details for the Freedom Unites Cairns to Canberra parade are as follows. Friday the 4th of July, 7am, Plainlands Mobile to Armidale. Friday the 4th of July, 1:30pm to 5pm, Armidale to Singleton. Friday the 4th of July, 7am, Gold Coast to Singleton. Saturday the 5th of July, 7am, Singleton to Pheasant's Nest. And Saturday the 5th of July, 2 to 4:30pm, Pheasant's Nest to Canberra at Epic. All small towns will be stopped along the way, and lunch is also organised en route. And Jackie Dundee will lead the march north. Friday the 4th of July at 11am, Albury BP truck stop in Lavington. They will be leaving. Friday the 4th of July between 1 and 3:30pm, they will drive from Albury to Wagga. On Saturday the 5th of July at 9am to 11am, they will drive from Wagga to Canberra. And the Freedom Unites Cairns to Canberra parade also has the opportunity to sponsor someone. If you cannot make it, then please pop along and sponsor someone. And in the 125th year recognition of our Constitution signing and power, we the people give it, the Freedom Unites Cairns to Canberra poses the question, if the politicians aren't swearing an oath to uphold the Constitution, then who are they really working for?
Indeed.
Yep,
Now,
get behind it, guys. If you can be part of it, get behind it. All right, it's all exposure. That's what it is. It's
Now, we had a signal to us and ons the other day, Dan Scavino, I think it was. But anyway, there was a cue that dropped that basically said declass is coming. And what do you have here? 1st of July, Hillary Clinton may finally face prison. Trump orders full declassification. He's ordered the immediate release of all FBI files related to Crossfire Hurricane and the infamous Russian collusion. This means John Durham's report. It basically also remember John Brennan briefed Obama and Biden on Clinton's plan to falsely link Trump to Russia. So it's very interesting because it's finally happened, and we have the executive order for it. So that will be a very, very interesting to watch.
there's some big stuff happening over there. That's for sure. Let's just see how it's just dropping out. I'm going to health official. It's good. It's good. What's happening in our country, but we've got to get the same sort of thing happening. So somehow or other, we do it.
We are winning in this. All right, now I'm just going to bring on the flyers because we've got that as well to do tonight. So this is what's on this weekend as well.
And the Mondays at Maggie's crew is calling for tools down. It's time to stand together. A corrupt and tyrannical government is crushing industries, stripping freedoms and silencing voices. This affects every worker and every business. New South Wales under a corrupt government. Enough is enough. We won't stay silent and we demand action. So join us every Monday at the Governor's House in Sydney at 11 a.m. And on Mondays, don't forget Mondays at Maggie's, the Frank and Charles podcast. They will be hitting the streets this week. Mondays at Maggie's. And the FUCCP page is up and running. Freedom Unites Cairns to Canberra Parade. The first leg is on Friday to Sunday, Townsville to Toowoomba, 27th to the 29th of June. The second leg will be Friday to Sunday, the 4th to the 6th of July, from Toowoomba to Canberra. And there will be an event held by Down Under Reform in Sydney to protest for zero immigration until housing affordability is restored. This will be on Saturday, July 12th, 2025, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And Dissection has more news and awards and finalists in the following festivals. Documentaries Without Borders Film Festival on September the 14th. It is official selection. Impact Docs Awards, California, USA official selection for Best Documentary finalist, which will be on August the 12th, 2025. And the White Rose International Film Festival in Yorkshire, UK. Official selection for Best Documentary finalist, Best Cinematography runner-up. That date is on August 9th, 2025. And in Victoria, we have the following events. In Melbourne, gather at the Governor's every Saturday to end the tyranny. 10 a.m. every Saturday at the Governor Gates. And join the Justice of the People in Melbourne every Sunday at 4:30 p.m. for a remembrance at the Shrine of Remembrance, lest we forget. There is a court call-out for Serena and Eric at Wodonga Courthouse on Monday the 30th, Tuesday the 1st of July and Monday the 7th of July at 9:30 a.m. A daily prayer space is held on X at 3 p.m. So whatever you're facing, come along and we can lift you up in prayer. Every day, 3 p.m. on X. Melissa 146233923.
And it's good to see you guys watching across the ditch. That's good. Hi, New Zealand.
No, that's it. Go, everyone. Look, we've got so much happening on the international front. Like, it's just absolutely crazy. First of all, you've got K. Rudd, of course. He's basically not welcome in the White House. And considering all the obscene things that he said, I'm not surprised at all. Vladimir Putin has banned the Satanic Temple in Russia, and that's a permanent ban.
Yeah, no one tells you about all the churches he's built, you know, like.
No, I know. It's just crazy. Now, also, it's actually come out via hand count. So what happened in Georgia's Dominion voting system was declared the wrong winner. So in DeKalb County. So what happened was they actually did a machine recount, and that was wrong. So they ordered a hand recount and found that the voting machines removed 74% of the real winner.
This is all about the people. We all knew. We knew what, you know, the schmuckle that it was, and all the skullduggery that was going on. But yeah, this is for the general public to get, guys. You know, and it's getting out to them. Okay, they're realising. So
that's it. Now, you had this interesting situation for business tech out of the Japan Times, and it's talking about AI is learning to lie, scheme, and threaten its creators. It's basically come down to a situation where it was going to be shut off, so it decided no, the humans had to die, it had to survive. So it had inbuilt survival mechanisms in it. Very well, not inbuilt, but it somehow developed survival mechanisms. So very interesting. Yeah. Now, a lot is coming out about the Federal Reserve. So I thought we'd just do a little bit of a refresher on the Federal Reserve, and a little bit more of an explanation, and then what Trump has done with regards to the tariffs.
Where in 1910, representatives from the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Morgans, and other private bankers gathered secretly to draft the legislation that would create the Federal Reserve. I found it revealing that in the same year the Federal Reserve was founded, 1913, the Internal Revenue Service was also established. An income tax was then instigated so you and I would have to pay the politicians' debt plus interest to the bankers.
The problem is we have a privately owned central bank system in the United States disguised as a government-owned system. Now, if you look in the telephone book here in the Washington, D.C. area, You look up for Federal Reserve in the blue government pages, it's not there. It's in the white pages right next to Federal Express. It's a privately owned central bank.
Central banks are banking
The banking cartels. Now, here's Brett Allen. He runs a homeschooling course, and he does a really good job. But he's actually really succinctly shown us the relationship between debt to sovereignty.
America's billionaires paid off our national debt. Well, in 1795, they did. America was in $2 million of debt to France. And that's when founding father James Swan stepped in and purchased the entire debt from France. Swan had not only served in the Revolutionary War, but he was shot at the Battle of Bunker Hill. And not only had he been an original member of the Sons of Liberty, but he participated in the Boston Tea Party. This guy was a patriot down to his bones, and he had sacrificed a lot to form a new country. But he knew, and the founding fathers knew, that debt is a threat to the sovereignty of any nation. And once the bankers get their hooks in you, they control you. And Swan had accumulated a small fortune smuggling goods to and from Europe during the war. And he used his wealth to bail out a young America. And this is why I write books on the First Amendment.
So he really succinctly explained that. Now, the mainstream media has actually had to admit that the tariffs are working, but just look at how much they're working.
Look how much we've been collecting in revenues. And I did this in part because Wilfred's here and he can talk about the UK trade deal, but this is the monthly numbers. And they have gone up a lot. June is actually set for another big increase of $27 billion. That is money coming into U.S. coffers from tariffs. We are collecting a lot of revenue. So far, guys, $121 billion has flowed into the U.S. government since the start of the fiscal year. It's still a tiny portion of the overall revenues that the U.S. government gets, but it's increasingly a lot, especially we haven't seen.
It's increasingly a lot. Oh my God, what are we going to do? We can't have this. We can't have Trump being successful. But what's actually happened is they've also been, go.
No, I was going to say, let's see what happens when they, start to accumulate this money and how it's actually used and, what's done with it. But, we just got to keep it out of the cabal's hands. That's what Trump's big job is, keep it right away from where it's not meant to be.
Well, interestingly, there's a relationship between now Trump's approval ratings as well, which they've also been forced to admit.
Would like this number here, especially to see it go up. How about compared to other presidents who were Republicans?
Yeah, it's history making. It's history making. What are we talking about here? So why don't we look back? We have all the presidents, Republican presidents, going back over the last 35, 36, 37 years. What are we talking about? GOP, who strongly approved 5 months in. Look at this. George H.W. Bush, Bush 41, 46%. Bush 43, 59. You see Trump, the first term, 53. But look at this. 63%. He beats all the other Republicans on the board here. And I was looking even back since Reagan. And get this, Donald Trump beats Ronald Reagan when it comes to the strongly approved 5 months. And of course, Reagan was coming off that high after that assassination attempt. So the bottom line is Donald Trump is making history with the Republican base. He is more beloved by this Republican base than any Republican base loved any GOP president.
CNN.
The tide is turning. CNN, I was about to say. One before that, CNBC. CNBC. But the tide is turning, Caz, when that's going out into the mainstream, and they're publicising it now.
Yeah, well, they're kind of forced to it away. Look, Babylon B just knocks it out of the park yet again. The headline is Liberal in private jet upset as he looks down and sees all the cows causing climate change.
Well, that's so right, isn't it? We picked it years ago. I've been harping on about the cows, but anyway, what we're going to do is wait the people to the bigger agenda, right? Which is the agenda of the devil's work. That's what's happening. So let's just, let's just keep using whoever's in front of us. Keep spreading the word, guys. Wake up.
That's it. Look, we're going to be taken out by Melissa Redpill. She's done a really good breakdown of either MJ Truth or maybe even Stormy Joe's work on what Trump has actually done. But here's just a shout out to some Q proofs. This is the top one is actually today's Delta, and it's basically the Q post is actually about ICE, and the today's U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement posted exactly that. Donald Trump goes and visits the ICE. The second one is about how the Q drops told us that the 7th floor of the FBI is located in the Hoover building and that it had been dismantled. And here you've got this headline today because FBI Director Kash Patel to shut down the J. Edgar Hoover building and move headquarters to Ronald Reagan building. So it's just amazing, like the amount of deltas and markers that we have had. And Melissa Redpill goes into quite a good detail about the shout outs to us. Oh, that week was Stormy Joe too, by the way, guys. So go and give him a follow. Just some really great decodes. So Dave, if you would like to wrap up and close the show, I shall hit play.
Yeah, well, the roundup is, guys, again, you know what I mean? This is a war of deception, all right? It's the synagogue of Satan against we the people, okay? And remember that. So use everything and anything, the art of war, you know? And when you got your enemy beaten, don't stop, right? Keep going, all right? And we're in that stage now where, yeah, we're showing that they're having to tell the truth out there, guys. They're having to let the public know. Now, at the end of the day, is this a great deception? Who knows? Doesn't matter. It's where we are in the battle now. If you've saved your soul, you got no worries about that. You're just fighting for humanity, all right, and doing your best. So good on you. Thank you. Enjoy the evening. See you tomorrow night.
Hey there, Patriots. I have something really important I want to share with you from MJ Truth Ultra, and I wanted to make sure that you saw it and kind of understood it because it's a lot of research I think that is very important. So check this out. I'm going to read it to you. Listen to what he says. President Trump was speaking about to us, Anons. He was talking about Elon getting all these subsidies. He says, listen to what he says about Elon, and very specifically about how Elon Musk is the most subsidized human in history. Q asked, why is Elon Musk, or EM, provided big worldwide subsidies? That question, when researching, leads to extraordinary answers. Elite globalist families sought to control the world by militarizing space and holding nations hostage with nuclear weapons. That plan involved enabling North Korea and Iran to develop nuclear weapons to trigger a global conflict, potentially World War III, to destroy the United States. Of course, we know that North Korea was taken out a few years ago, 2018. Okay, but then they still had Iran involved. All right, so let's listen to the end. Hillary Clinton, they thought she never would lose, was expected to win in 2016, was tasked with escalating tensions with Russia to spark this war, while a CIA-controlled North Korea served as a backup plan. The 2010 Uranium One deal, approved by Obama and the U.S. government under Clinton's State Department, allowed Russia's Rosatom to acquire the U.S. uranium assets. Remember her sending the uranium over there through Rosatom, allegedly supplying uranium to North Korea and Iran. Operation Merlin covertly provided nuclear technology to these nations, and Obama's billions in cash was key, likely funding further development, with funds possibly reaching black site projects in Iran, North Korea, and ISIS, likely orchestrated by no-name McCain. SpaceX, there's the connection with SpaceX, with Elon, was heavily subsidized by the U.S. government through CIA arrangements via RISV Traverse Management. Remember that, RIZVI, Traverse Management. You might remember that from the keyboard. Ensuring its survival. Obama scaled back NASA to remember how they were like, why is NASA being scaled back? Well, this is why. So it would put this all on SpaceX, why we're funding SpaceX. Was heavily subsidized by the U.S. government, to funnel funds to SpaceX, providing advanced rocket technology to North Korea. In return, the CIA gained access to SpaceX Iridium satellites, which likely provided guidance systems for North Korea's ICBMs, allowing the CIA to redirect potential nukes to any target. They've been working on this for years, and they cannot believe that it's now gone. It's gone in North Korea, and now it's gone in Iran. And so their game is over. This thing that they've been working on, this was their fail-safe, and it's gone. Like Eric Prince's Blackwater. Let me see if I can get it to go down a little bit more. Okay, goodness gracious. I've got to get it to go down somewhere. Okay, good. SpaceX is a private company effectively controlled by government funding, serving globalist military globalist goals. Obama was installed to facilitate Uranium One and SpaceX subsidies. Suhail Rizvi, tied to SpaceX funding, was linked to Saudi Prince's Al-Walid bin Talal. Remember him? Al-Walid bin Talal, supported by Obama's presidency. He was a big owner, a part owner in Twitter back in the day. He backed Obama's rise, and he paid for Harvard for Obama. President Trump disrupted this plan upon taking office. Remember that? Al-Walid bin Talal was arrested, he was put under control. Despite MSM claims he'd start World War III, it is highly likely a covert military operation demolished the North Korea's nuclear program in a mountain collapse covered as an earthquake, neutralizing the threat in clandestine white hat operation to remove North Korea from the globalist cabal's chessboard. So they were no longer able to do this. And remember how as soon as this happened, all of a sudden, Kim Jong-un is like, oh, I want to go to the Olympics. I'm going to send you back your war dead. We're not going to have nuclear war. All that happened, okay? On April 20, 2018, the North Korean government announced that it would suspend nuclear tests and shut down the Pyeongchang nuclear site. Trump also exposed Musk's massive subsidies, highlighting SpaceX's questionable funding. SpaceX was a globalist tool to militarize space, with Iridium satellites enabling North Korea's ICBM tracking, creating a globalist hostage scenario with globalist elites holding the trigger. The CIA could use these satellites, like Amazon Echo devices, to manipulate threats, potentially staging